Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, what is up? Top King 123 once again bringing you another Hearts of Iron 4 Officer School video, and today I'm showing you guys how to make the United States of America into a total powerhouse before 1939. The reason I give such a bland date is because the fact that if you're playing in multiplayer and using this strategy, there's so many things that can change the outcome of this strategy on how well it works for you, but I've narrowed it down doing it myself. It works every time until 1939. At that point, you can either have a problem where the United Kingdom is preparing to invade you through Canada if they've gone fascist, or Brazil may have gone fascist, like in my case, and aligned with Mexico, and they were preparing to invade me. I was able to hold them off and win, but it's just to give you guys a heads up. I can only guarantee it'll help you until 1939 or thereof. So let's go ahead and get started into the video, shall we? So the very first thing you need to do is build your infrastructure. Now I know people automatically assume the main thing to do in Hearts of Iron 4, and I did for the longest time, was to build civ factories. Well, if you're playing as the United States, there's not really necessarily a need to build civs, because they start out with 130, which if you didn't know is a pretty big number. In this game, as for civ factories, I think Germany only starts out with like 30 or 40 or something like that. It's a very small number. One of them, it's a good idea to build civs in the beginning, but just as the United States, you just need infrastructure. Now here's why. This strategy of building infrastructure is going to help you so well. You only want to build it on the west and east coast of the United States. The reason is well, infrastructure helps you out in terms of building more factories, more planes. It helps you build factories faster. Like each level infrastructure, I believe, gives you a 10% boost of it. And to show you guys right here, you're going to put a factory down, these plus 60, plus 70, plus 50, all those numbers, that is how much of a bonus you get when building a factory. I don't think it works for anti-air. Yeah, it doesn't work for any of these. It only works for shared buildings. And the reason you want to build it on the east and west coast is depending on what's going on in your game. If Japan is going hard Navy, at this point, you'll have a 100% bonus to building naval dockyards. If Mexico or Canada is about to attack, at least you have the variety of building on the west and east coast of building either military factories or naval dockyards. It's really entirely up to you, and that will help you either way. Now, since we've got all that getting ready to be built, the next thing you want to do is go to your production and do it like this. 3 factories on infantry equipment, 2 factories on support equipment, 2 factories on artillery, 3 factories on planes. Swap it from interwar fighter to regular fighter. The reason is interwar fighters are just as good, and the Navy has more than enough aircraft in the very start for carrier fighters, and it's a little bit cheaper to build, and they've got the exact same stats otherwise. So it's really just better to build one of these because it's a little bit cheaper and you can get more over time. The next thing you want to do is go down no national focus yet, and you want to go reaffirm Monroe Doctrine. Now, this is one of the most important steps in this tutorial. I mean, most important. In the end of this, you're wanting to invade Venezuela. So once you go down reaffirm Monroe Doctrine, and you get 2 of these, you can spend the first 2 on anything you like. But I recommend, first off, you need to, or second off, really, you need to save the 300 political power from 2 of these. Don't touch it. Do not touch it until you go to war with Venezuela, because this is going to help you get rid of undisturbed isolation, which if you don't know, you can't change your economy law, and you can't change your conscription law. But as soon as you go to war with Venezuela, if you have 300, you can do this, because I think automatically swaps you to volunteer only, and then you can go up to limited conscription, which gives you a big manpower boost as the United States, because you still are down half, but it boosts you up to like 200,000 or 300,000 manpower. Then economic law, you can go to partial mobilization, because at this point, you are at war. Which means as the United States, you can have partial mobilization, which means your consumer factories drop from 40 to 20. And on top of that, in this game, only 15 factories, civilian factories, can be used at a time to build a new factory or infrastructure or a weapon, anti-aircraft battery, something. So when you do that, you can effectively build, I think, like 4 or 5 at a time. And then, because in 1936, November 9th or November 6th, the new election of the November 1936, the election pops up, and then Franklin Delano Roosevelt can do New Deal, which gives a 20% infrastructure bonus, if I remember correctly, to the United States infrastructure. So you'll only have half the infrastructure left, and depending on if the European nations are going really towards war, you can even boost infrastructure across the United States, which will give you a 100% bonus when building civs and military, naval dockyards, all that stuff. It'll help you out so much. But like I said, your main goals here are going to be to invade Venezuela, so save 300 political power. The first 300, you can use it either way you want, but you need to really do 2. First one, you need to go down silent workhorse, because in the United States, you have no power in the very beginning. Let me actually go down this. And see, it goes down to no political power a day. So, if you have a silent workhorse on, it'll go 15%. And 15% of your base value is what I think it is. So it will give you 0.30 a day, which is not much. It's only 1 political power every 4 days, or 3 days to 4 days. But it's going to help you out in the long run, because by the time you get ready to go to war with Venezuela, you'll probably have enough for a general. Excuse me. The next thing you need to do with your other political power, I recommend, is go to ship designer, because Navy as the United States is one of the most important roles it has, especially if the Japanese player's in the game and he's going hard towards Navy, or the Italian player's going hard towards Navy and might actually rival the UK. You can send reinforcements if they're allied. So one of 2 things is what you need to do. Either go down Brooklyn Naval Yard. I recommend Brooklyn Naval Yard if there's no Japan player, because the Japanese player does not really understand how to use Navy, so you don't have to worry about that. If it's a real Japanese player, you want to go down Coastal Defense Fleet, because this will give you a bonus when building screen ships. I think those are like subs and stuff. Capital ships, which are like battleships and carriers. It gives you a bonus for that. It gives you a bonus for pretty much all your ships. So once you have enough political power, do those 2. Or one of these 2, I recommend. You can really just do what you want. You can go to industrial to help with oil. You can do this if you're going to go armor United States. You can go down planes, whatever. But these are the 2 that's going to help you the most, in my opinion, in the long run, that and political power. Next thing you want to do is go down to research slot and research 4 things. One thing here is going to be kind of 50-50. If it is a real Canadian player, they know what they're doing. If it's a real player playing as Brazil, they know what they're doing. Hopefully, or actually unhopefully for you. If it's a real player playing as Brazil, what you need to do is make sure that you keep Mexico democratic, because if they go fascist, Brazil's going to be fascist probably to take over most of South America. They will align with them and try to invade you. Same thing with Canada and UK. If they're both real players, 99% of the games I'm in, UK goes fascist along with Canada, and if the United States is not going to go with them, they will try to invade the United States early on. So if it's a real player as UK and he's going kind of fascist off the bat, I don't think they have a fascist tree in here. Yeah, they don't have a way to exactly go fascist on here. But if they're in a game where they're getting boosted, or if you're in the road to 56 and they start going fascist, do this. Go down Grand Battle Plan, because it gives you bonuses for defense, and you're going to need that if they go to war with you early on. If they're all fine, they're not going to have a problem with you that you think, go down Superior Firepower, go down Dispersed Support, because you're going to have so many factories at the end of this, you're going to be pumping out already left and right. Then you can go down Motorized Offensive. So that's pretty much what you need to do with these. Let me go and actually do that. Now the rest of these are pretty simple. Go down Naval Doctrine, go down Carrier Primacy, because that's going to be one of the most important you're going to do. Then go down to Air Doctrine, go down Strategic Destruction, followed by Infrastructure Destruction, followed by Naval Strike Tactics, and by then you should be done with your Monroe Doctrines, and then you can start researching military. Next, go down Engineering, Electronical, Mechanical Engineering, and that's only 90 days it takes, okay? That only takes 90 days. So once that's done, go to Infantry, research your Barr and Stokes, and then once this one, Air Superiority, is done, and once you get down here to Infrastructure Destruction, stop there. Go back to Infantry, build the trucks, and then build Marines and Paratroopers, okay? Then for the final thing, before we get on to the part where we're going to invade Venezuela, which is going to help us out the most, you've got extra dockyards. You can really use these to whatever you feel like you want. I just prefer to build nothing but destroyers right off the bat to give people the idea that you know what you're doing, and you are building a large navy as the United States, because this will help you build around, I believe, so right around like 3.5 to 4 a month, I believe. It's somewhere in that ballpark, the United States. And if you have 3 ships a month, you're going to pretty quickly be having a few more ships in there. A lot of nations may not notice it, but people who play this a lot will realize you're pumping out ships left and right, and they'll be really confused. And they'll probably think you went down this over here, the Bureau of Ships, because that gives you a big production cut in terms of making these ships. Anyway, so I'm going to come back once we get the Monroe Doctrine. Just remember to elect FDR for infrastructure speed. Oh, one other thing before I get off this. Get 10 divisions ready, like I am doing now. Make sure it's not this horseman. Make sure you actually have 10 divisions. Assign them to a general. I like Douglas MacArthur because he's, well, Douglas MacArthur. And prepare a naval invasion, so as soon as you're ready to go to war with Venezuela, you can do it right off the bat. So just go ahead and get them ready. And tell them to execute the plan when they're prepared. In the meantime, I'm going to go back and come back once we get the Monroe Doctrine going. Or finished. Alright guys, one small minor tip that I forgot to mention that really helps you out too, and I may have mentioned, I'm not entirely sure, I'm kind of going off my head here, but once this one down here is done, the next thing you want to do is go down construction, because that's going to give you a 10% construction speed bonus on top of the 20% construction speed bonus you'll get, or infrastructure speed bonus you get when playing as FDR. So you'll really be working on things at 30% faster than you are right now, and you can actually see we're making some progress in our infrastructure. Alright guys, so we're prepared to get our war goal against Venezuela, and now I am going to show you guys this is what turns America into a total powerhouse. So, as you can see, well, first off, let's go ahead and declare war. We've got our naval invasion plan, we've got our troops ready to attack. There we go. We've declared war on Venezuela, there we go. And now, we can use our political power. So, first, like I said, undisturbed isolation. We can change that to partial mode. Now that's going to drop our factories from 40 consumer good to 20. See this right here? Not just 3 anymore. Our 37 factories that can be used. Wait, is it 37? Okay, yeah, 37. So we have 30 factories being used right now. And that 37 we can only use to build just went up to 68. Our limited infantry on Disarm Nation, we can now go to limited, which just boosted us from 80,000 to 327,000. Now another thing you can do too is keep this war going and go from that to limited conscription, which I'm about to show you. When you're doing this, next you want to go down Bureau of Ships. That will help your production. So let's go ahead and invade down here. We're going to keep, now don't take him too quickly like I'm going to show you guys. Keep this war going. Alright, keep the war going as long as you can until you get up to 150 political power, and then we're going to change to limited conscription, which when the war breaks out and we get rid of the great economy, no, we don't need her. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter in this video. You can do that if you want. You don't have to. It's just some random I do. I just say no to getting pilots like that. It's kind of weird. I just prefer to get them in combat. This also helps you out and get a little bit of army experience so you can farm off them a little bit. Let me finish this doctrine really quick here because I'm probably going to go off this save later because of how well this is and I forgot to do it. Start going researching planes. Still waiting on this naval invasion to win. Alright, I'm going to come back when we get 150 political power. Alright, so what we can do now is go to modify government now that we have 150 political power. Now it's up to you. You can either edit generals. I recommend for the most manpower in the very beginning to get to work on your Navy and infantry divisions, go to limited conscription, because our 326,000 just turned into almost 1 million man that we are pretty much really in a war with until we get rid of the Great Depression, which at this point, we're not even in a Great Depression anymore. We're doing extremely well as the United States. We've also got 82 army experience by farming down here. Now, you can do one of two things. You can either just stay at war with them and continuously let the AI attack you, and you can keep getting army experience until they're, well, until like right about now when they start running so low on equipment, they just won't attack. But if you have their capital surrounded, I found the AI will attack as hard as they can, especially down here, just to get it back. So don't actually take it. That's one thing to do. And then the second and the last thing I can recommend in this, the second thing, go down Naval Bureau of Ships, and then go to Escort Focus. This helps your destroyers, and right now with all this stuff we're doing in the vanilla game, we're building, oh, I'd say probably 3 destroyers a month, right off the bat, right off the top of my head. So that's decently well. That's decently well. Our infrastructure is almost totally completed, so we've almost got this taken care of, which means, look at all this 100% military or 100% factory build speed. We can finish a military factory every couple months, and then once the depression's over, we can do way better too. I think the depression actually affects build speed, if I'm correct. No, it doesn't. We're still doing pretty well. And once the depression's gone, we can actually probably build, what, probably I'd say 10 factories a day, because we're still right now on 50%. So, do that math. Then, like I said, go down Bureau of Ships, Escort Focus, Air Warplanes Division, because these all help with your production requirements of these weapon or planes and tanks and stuff. Next, since this is the end of the video, since I'm not going to play anymore, next thing you want to do is go down WPA to get a little bit more political power. Then you can edit some more stuff. By that point, you probably either go down War Propaganda, or I recommend go down USAC projects to help get some more military factories and Arsenal and Democracy, if you can do it with a limited intervention. I forgot where that is. Isn't that a limited intervention? Where'd that go? Oh, right there. I think that's, yeah, repair intervention. So you could probably do that right there by that point. But one final tip I have before leaving, actually two, once you've actually got all this taken care of, you can stop researching all this stuff and start researching Navy ships that are in 1936, okay? And then possibly, depending on how long it is, 1940. And that way, when you do this, it will give you a research bonus for researching ships that are far ahead of where you're supposed to be researching them right now. So you can probably get 1940 4 carriers like in 1941 at latest, which is incredibly powerful. And then my final thing is to tell you guys how to build your Navy. Okay, once you get your factories done here, build naval dockyards if you're not at war with anybody. Okay, I recommend not pushing it over 105 because there's really only, I believe, 7 ships in the game so you can really work on, and 15 lines per each, so 105. So my final thing to say is I like, and this is up to you, you don't have to do it, this is pretty much it. This is pretty much the whole tutorial I've shown you guys. It's how to turn America into a powerhouse. All this is what you've done. It's up to you on this final thing. Like I said, build the Navy up to where it was right before World War II broke out in 1941. I'm about to tell you guys the numbers on this because I looked online like crazy and I could not find them, but I finally found some, and they're pretty much what I'm about to tell you. Go into your Navy right here, and this number up here tells you how many ships you have. Okay, like I said, I like to build it up to what it was before World War II broke out in 1941. Those were the following: 17 battleships with 15 under construction, so 32 battleships in total. Okay, and use all your naval dockyards to this. This is, like I said, what I recommend. Then 7 aircraft carriers with 11 under construction. Now, if you're playing the Road to 56, you can get escort carriers. I recommend 4 or 5 regular carriers, and then probably 25 to 28 escort carriers. Because once you have like more than 5 or 6 carriers in a fleet, then you start receiving a penalty. But, I mean, they're still pretty overpowered. I mean, not a lot of people are going to attack you if they see like 7 or 8 aircraft carriers in the battle. They're thinking you're just going to have so many of them usually that they can't fight you off. So they'll probably retreat back to their home islands usually. Then the next one is going to be 18 heavy cruisers is what the Navy had in World War II. We start out with 15, so just build up from there. The next thing is really up to you. The United States Navy had 6 anti-aircraft cruisers at the start of World War II. Now you can do one of 2 things here if you want to keep it extremely realistic. Go into a light cruiser if you have the Navy experience, which you should be pretty close depending on what you're playing and how you're playing with mods. And just build up the anti-aircraft all the way. Or the U.S. Navy had 19 light cruisers at the start of World War II. You could just build it up to 25 instead of 19 and just call it even. And then you're almost there at 171 destroyers is what the Navy had. They had 171 destroyers. We're already at 163, so we've only got another 6 to go. No, wait, I'm sorry, 8 to go. 8 left. And then you can start working on battleships, cruisers, all that stuff. And then 114 submarines. So guys, that was it. Hopefully this video helped you guys out, and like I said, we're almost there. We're almost in 1938, and this pretty much, at this point, no one's dumb enough to go to war with America by this point, and you've turned America into a powerhouse. If you don't want to go down Navy, you can just build up your civilian or military factories instead, because you would be popping one out every, I think military, hold on. Okay, so this is a little bit more. So you would be popping a new military factory out probably every, oh, let's see that number really quick. You can build up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at a time right now. So you'd be popping out 5 military factories every month and a half, 2 months. So I mean, as America, that is a pretty big deal if you want to do that instead of the Navy. So guys, like I said, hopefully this helped you out. Hopefully you're going to have a lot of success using this method in your Hearts of Iron 4 games. I appreciate you guys so much watching this video. If you're interested in helping other Hearts of Iron 4 players out, don't forget to like the video and share it with your friends that also play Hearts of Iron, and maybe they can use this in multiplayer to get an edge over some of the other players as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys next time. Stay awesome.